Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Show. Today is Wealthy Wednesdays. Obviously, this is the Wednesday edition where I answer questions every Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you know anybody who's looking to increase their financial IQ, share this with them and let them know that they have options, right? I know somebody said to me earlier that they really enjoy the show because a lot of times they don't know where to turn to, where to get their financial questions answered, whether it's a tax question, a stock question, a business question, real estate question. They're not sure, but they know I can pretty much handle most of it for the most part. Mr. Lewis, how are you, Mr. Lewis? Shelly Davis, how are you? Thanks for joining. Shelly, do you get the notifications on my page when I go live? You here every week, bro. I appreciate you, though. I appreciate everybody that's here every week. I'm actually having a good time doing this. Tiffany Thompson, how are you? Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. All right, Tiffany. So I know you said you was here before, but this is 2 weeks now. 2 weeks that I've noticed. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so Chili, you do have notifications on. All right. Well, y'all know the deal. Let's hop right into it. What questions do you have? Brandon Jones, how are you? I just typed your question in, Brandon. But you know what, Brandon? Do me a favor. Type your question in to the chat so I can show it to everybody, so everybody can see your question. So right now I'm broadcasting live, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all at the same time. A lot of interesting things going on. Yeah, Ford's up. Matter of fact, I know y'all want to talk some stock. You know what? Before I get into this, let me ask y'all a serious question. Shelby, what's up, Shelby? Did you complete your move yet? But let me ask y'all a question. Like I'm always wondering what kind of content I should create, right? What people really need. So outside of these Wednesdays, what does everybody need? Because I'm ramping back up my content creation, more videos. Last week I said I was going to launch the podcast. I didn't. I'm gonna do it this week though, for certain. Diva 0146, how are you? Thank you for joining us. But what content do you want from me? What can I help y'all with? Melanated Alton, how are you? What can I help y'all with? What would you want to hear, see, and get from me? You want stock stuff? You want tax stuff? You want business stuff? What you want? Tell me what you want. All right, so first question up. Angela Mitchell, Mary Kay, how are you? How are you? Thank you for joining us today. But tell me, what are you guys looking for from me? Credit, real estate, insurance. Okay, I can do real estate, I can do insurance, and I definitely got somebody that I can do credit with. I mean, I know the basics of credit, right? I am and by no means a credit specialist or a credit expert. I feel like credit is a little over. We rely a lot on credit, I think, inappropriately, many times. But listen, it ain't about me; it's about y'all. So what's up, Brandon? Ford's up. Shout out to Melanated Alton. And here is the question. Karan says he thinks a mix of it all would be truly valuable. Okay. I mean, I kind of do that now, but the majority of my content is stock, investment, and tax. So, okay. So Brandon Jones asks, question for Wednesday. If I take equity out of a home, what are some strategies to avoid the tax hit? Buy another house, deposit the money in a self-directed IRA. Well, listen, Brandon, if you're thinking about that, you just hit the jackpot. Ding, 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 right? There is no tax ramification for taking equity out of your home. None. So if you did, and I have Robert Lewis on, he probably is the better person to answer this question. Robert, you actually should do this question too, on your page. But there is no tax hit, right? Because it's equity. You're not selling, you're taking out another loan. Hey Charlie, how you doing? Okay, Edith said she learns every week. Okay. But Brandon, there is no tax ramifications in taking out equity. You're normally going to take it out through some type of home equity line of credit or cash out refi or something like that. So you're pretty good, bro. That was easy. What else you got for me? What else you got? Hey, Alton, everybody's good. Everybody's good. Oops. Credit. All right. Credit, real estate. What in real estate do you want to learn about Chile? I just had Malik Carter on last Saturday because y'all know I do a Saturday wealth conversation every Saturday or almost every Saturday. And so Malik Carter is a real estate investor, real estate agent. He's now getting into the stock market. So he's got a lot. He's got a lot going on. But there were some gems in there as well. Carol Allen, do I invest in tax liens? Not currently, I don't. I've never invested in tax liens. I am thinking about looking at tax liens, though, very shortly. Miss Katie Student, how are you? Lexington Law and all those other credit restoration companies. What do you mean, Angela? What about them? Is that a good or a bad thing? All right, Melanated Allen definitely wants tax content. Okay. All right, that's easy. I do that all the time. Good, Sean Rowe. Thank you, Chili. Thank you. Yes, a lot of people miss the tax deductions. All right, I see we got a question on IG. American Airlines or any stock on airlines, what do you see for their future? We talked about this last week. All right, listen, I have seen a lot of people talk about buying airlines. A lot of people posting up videos. It's funny. I always wonder what the skill level or experience level of some of these people are making this content. But so let's talk about what a value trap is, right? So I'm talking to you, Ms. Edith. So let's talk about what the value trap is, right? So oftentimes a stock will fall or a company's stock price will fall a lot, like we just saw earlier this year. And now when we see that, many times people think it's a great time to buy, all right? But many times when the stock falls or the company stocks fall, it's just exposing that the company really isn't that great in the first place, or the company is really on pins and needles. So, but people think oftentimes that it's a good time to buy the stock. Sadly, a lot of times it's not. It's a trap. It's what we call a value trap in the industry. People will jump in. They'll think it's great. They'll think it's a great opportunity. They'll think it'll bounce back. Now, if y'all remember, I kind of talked about it. I didn't use the term value trap because I try not to be too technical. But a lot of people were buying companies that were cheap, in price. But if you remember, I kept talking about cash position. I always talk about cash position, right? Because it doesn't matter if the stock is cheap, if the company goes bankrupt. Remember what Warren Buffett says, right? Warren Buffett always says, don't think about it as a stock. Think about it like you're buying a piece of a company. So think about it like you're buying a piece of a company. And if you're buying a piece of a company, you want to look at the business. Does the business have potential? How does the business make money? Where are the business's customers at? Most people are not flying right now. Most people don't have any intentions on flying. People I'm talking to that are going to actually vacation for the summer, they're driving. I was reading some stuff earlier this week. RVs actually might be a good investment going forward. Cars might be. Now, hear me out, right? You got to listen to what I'm saying. Cars may be a good buying point in the future, right? So we're talking about the GMs and the Fords and everybody else is publicly traded. But I don't think they're coming back right away because nobody's buying a new car, in my opinion. Well, I take that back. I did have a client who just bought a brand new car, but he's a special kind of fellow. But yeah, don't just buy because it's cheap. Airlines are cheap right now. They're super duper cheap right now. So, I wouldn't buy airlines. I wouldn't touch airlines with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't invest airlines with your money. And it's your money. It don't cost me nothing. Don't cost me a thing. So that's what I have to say about that. Carol Allen says, I'm trying to learn how to read property descriptions. I went to the tax assessor's office and she told me by law they couldn't tell me anything and to ask a lawyer. Well, Ms. Carol, that should be pretty easy, right? All the definitions are out there. You can just Google them. If you have a hard time, everybody's a real estate agent these days. Know this, because I know my man Dave Foster, who just shared this video, is like one of Philly's premier real estate agents. Thank you, Dave, for sharing. I just saw that. But everybody's like loves real estate, wants to be in real estate. So I'm pretty sure you can Google a lot of the terms and you can look them up and figure it out. If not, you can reach out to a real estate agent. If not, then you can look for a lawyer. Miss Angela, you said, what are the pros and cons? Was that based off of that Lexington comment? I'm not totally sure. Help me out here. Help me out. Got the book out, Black Year. Can't wait to read it. Maybe I can find a need that hasn't been filled and create a business. Absolutely. What do you like doing, Miss Carol? There's always stuff to do. Black Year is very inspiring, though. I've interviewed Maggie Anderson a couple of times. I've interviewed her a couple of times. She's pretty dope. What she did with her husband, her and her husband and her family was pretty awesome. Again, if y'all don't remember what I talked about with Our Black Year, is a book written by Maggie Anderson. Maggie Anderson, for a whole year, brought black. For one whole year. Now, obviously, we're not talking about your mortgage and utilities, but, clothing, food, things like that all year long. And she had a very, very hard time doing that because, sadly, there's not a lot of black businesses. There are a lot of black businesses. Let me correct myself. There's a lot of black businesses. However, we need more, and there aren't enough black businesses in a lot of critical areas. For example, I know Ms. Anderson said there was really no grocery store, black-owned grocery store, and she was in Chicago. Now, you would think in Chicago, there's plenty of black folks. There's plenty of black folks with money. Somebody would have a grocery store. That's not the case. In my hometown of Philadelphia, PIA, right? There's no black-owned grocery store. Honestly, one of the guys, I'm not gonna say his name. It's a white-owned grocery store, and he does a lot of outreach to the black community, right? So there's no shade on him. But a lot of people think his grocery store is black-owned, and it's not. It's not. There's no black-owned grocery stores in Philadelphia, to my knowledge. Also, there's no black-owned gas stations in Philadelphia, right? So we buy groceries and we buy gas, but we don't have either one of those things to patronize by a black-owned person. I'm trying to share out my stuff, but it's not letting me do it. So somebody do me a favor. Can somebody share my post on Facebook, share it to my page, tag me on it, and I can add it to my personal page, my personal timeline. All right. So Ms. Carol says, I have the Land Glide app on my phone. It helps a lot, at least. I can see if there's a home on the property. So what are you just like randomly picking stuff? I mean, you could always use like Google Maps. That's pretty updated. It's not always updated to see what properties are available on the site or the land. So let me see if I can catch up with comments. Yeah, everything needs fuel. That's right. Mike TR, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Ali Smiles, thank you for joining us. How are you? DJ Stones, how are you? Future Investment, yes. Thank you, Ms. Edith. I appreciate you putting the stuff in there, value trap. And remember, none of these are recommendations. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything needs fuel. Boss Rasta, how are you? Queen on her throne, how are you? Kabir SP, how are you? Kabir SP asked, is cannabis stock good to invest in and beauty supply stocks? I think beauty supplies will always be in fashion. They're probably getting hit right now because nobody's going outside. There are some people still stunting for the gram though, right? They're doing it for the gram. They're doing it for YouTube, right? So I would say, yeah, but you got to be selective. You got to pick and choose which ones in terms of beauty stocks. In terms of cannabis is going to be a long-term play because obviously, right, it's still not legal in the United States recreationally. That's where the real big bang for the buck is. There's so many companies, right? We just saw Aurora do a reverse 12-by-1 split last week. We talked about that last week. Miss Carol, and I'm jumping around on you a little bit, but Miss Carol, I got an inbox from someone that got caught in that reverse split, right? That 12-for-1 we talked about last week. They said they called TD Ameritrade and they asked for their money back, and they got it back. So you can thank me, Miss Carol. I hope you asked for your money back on that trade. I remember you were asking about that last week. But in terms of cannabis stock, I would probably look at ETFs to invest in. I think the field is still wide open. There's a lot of players. I don't know who the number one player is going to be. But with the ETF, which is an exchange-traded fund, it seems like we talk about exchange-traded funds every week too. But with an exchange-traded fund, you can get a little bit of everybody. You can get a little bit of Aurora, Tilray, MedMen. There's a lot of them. So look up, again, this is not an investment recommendation. Look up ticker symbol MJ. Ticker symbol MJ. Look that up. Also look up ticker symbol YOLO. Like YOLO, you only live once, YOLO. Look up those two ticker symbols. Again, these are not investment recommendations. It's for entertainment, educational purposes only. Niall Carter, how are you, ma'am? Oh, this is interesting. I meet the standard. Now, last week, I had some technical difficulties because you was in here talking trash, as you love to do, and beat on me. So, all right, everybody, Niall's a buddy of mine, tax buddy of mine. What video did you just share? Thank you. Well, Charlie, so here's the thing, right? When the splits are kind of like reverse. They're like financial engineering, right? So those jokers were 67 cents. And what they did was they took back the shares they had on the market. Thank you. Now I was talking about my Facebook page, but thank you anyway. I appreciate you. They took back some of the shares they had on the market. So they inflated the price of their shares. And yes, it went from 67 cents to like $5. Last I looked, it was at $20. Last I saw, Aurora was actually bidding for a company. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I find it really interesting that they were just a penny stock a few weeks ago, and now they're vying for a company. It's an all stock deal, right? So when big businesses buy companies, they usually have three options. They can buy it all cash, just like when you go to buy somebody's business, right? You just pay them cash, write a check, or credit card, debit, whatever, bag of money, get that bag. You can do an all stock deal where you're trading the stock in your company, where you're trading the stock in your company in exchange to purchase their company, right? They both have value. And then you can do an all cash, you can do a mix. You can do a cash and a stock deal. So you can do both. Now, you just said they changed their name. It's still Aurora Cannabis, ticker symbol ACB. What are we talking about? Did I miss something? And so cannabis, wow. Let me see something. Yeah, they're doing that whole roller coaster thing. So Aurora is now $12.75. It closed today at $12.75. It is up in the aftermarket, right? If you understand, oh no, different company. Okay. If you understand, pre-market, market, aftermarket, right? So pre-market is everything before 9:30 when the stock market actually opens. All right, during market times is 9:30 to 4 p.m. Aftermarket is everything, all the trades going on after market or after 4 p.m. I strongly advise beginners not to buy in the pre-market and the post-market because typically there's not a lot of volume, right? Remember, stock prices are all a function of supply and demand. They're all a function of supply and demand. Who's in the market to buy? Who's in the market to sell, right? And then they pair those up. But when volume gets, kind of crazy, kind of weird, you get weird pricing. And sometimes, especially for smaller investors, new investors, you get into one of these weird price trades and it doesn't work in your favor. So I tell, again, beginners, I tell them all to stay away from pre-market and post-market trades because a lot of kooky things happen. Now, Sabir asked about Sallie Mae. The comment got away from me when I saw it. Where'd you go? So I'm gonna look up Sallie Mae real quick. Excuse me, not Sallie Mae. What am I thinking about? I got student loans on the brain. Sally's Beauty. I couldn't find the company that Aurora was trying to buy. I didn't see it. Oh, here it is. Oh, moving too fast. Aurora Cannabis to acquire U.S. CBD brand Reliva for $60 million in stock. Aurora Cannabis to acquire U.S. CBD brand Reliva, I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced, for $60 million in stock. I find that so weird and ironic. Just a minute ago, they was about to be delisted, and now they popping their collars, getting fly, trying to purchase. I guess. The thing is, CBD, while CBD does come from the marijuana plant, it's legal. A lot of times there's some weird caveats, but it's legal. So this could help them extend their brand and do some other things. So this will be really interesting. 40 million. I don't know about that one, but let's get back to Sally. Sally's Beauty. Any of y'all ladies shop at Sally's Beauty? They seem expensive to me, but that's probably because I be going to the hood beauty supply stores. All right, Sally's Beauty Holdings, ticker symbol SBH. Ticker symbol SBH. It's $10.81. That's very interesting. Very interesting. At first look, I don't think Sally's is going out of business anytime soon. But I'm sure everybody is cutting back on hair care right now. Sally's had a good day today. They were up 11 cents, up on a day about 1.03%. Sally's is a $1.22 billion company. So it's a $1 billion company. That's still relatively small. They don't pay a dividend. Now, What do y'all think I'm going to look for next? What do I want to know next? Anybody got it? Nobody got it. No, you can join a club to get lower personal products. Oh, okay, salads. All right. So nobody knows what I'm going to look at next. So the next thing I'm going to look at is their financials, especially how much cash they have on hand. So they got $1 billion. Well, the last report, the last time they reported was September 30th, 2009. Let me see. There's no quarterlies. Okay, they just released. I'm sorry. They just did a quarterly report. Remember, quarterly report is like that report card. I got credit on mine for some reason. Sallie Mae, credit cards. I don't know what's going on. But they got about 1.4 billion on hand. That's actually impressive. So they have their whole market cap value in cash. Well, current assets. Let me see. So I take that back. They got 364 million in cash. They got another 87 million in receivables. They got 946 million in inventory. Now, over the last year or so, that's kind of been their average. So they must carry a lot of inventory. They do about 3 billion, almost 3.8 billion a year in sales, 3.7. Interesting. Now let's see if they got profits. That's right, Melody Hudson, or Brandon cash reserves. That is correct. That is what I'm looking for. And they have a net income of $206 million a year. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. Actually, I think I'm going to look at that. Niall says I'm investing in Pharma. Yeah, I don't, not a fan of Pharma, Niall. Too many moving pieces that aren't reliable. Before you can get any approval, FDA has to approve. They get finicky. Oh, so you agree with me, Niall, that Sally can be expensive. Oh, Boss Ross. Oh, they got a club. Okay, I wouldn't know. You see what I'm working with, right? Look up Wait-R. Wait-R Holdings. It's a penny stock. I told you I don't like penny stocks. I keep telling you people, penny stocks are the spawns of the devil. They're no good. Google 50-cent penny stocks and you'll see why I say that. But hey, you asked me to look at it, so I'm going to look at it. $191 million last year, almost 192 million last year in revenue. Let's see. They got any cash? 29 million in cash as of December 31st. Let's see, quarterly. Yeah, 39 million. Okay, they're accumulating some cash. I wonder if they got some liabilities. The liabilities increased. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't touch it. This channel is all for everything I do out here is all for beginners. So I definitely don't recommend beginners buy penny stocks. Unless, right? Remember I talked about the exception to the rule. Y'all know I've been buying Ford. Ford on any given day, these last couple of months have been a penny stock. It's floating. You remember a penny stock is any stock that is below $5 in price. But it looks like they do some type of food delivery. 200, yeah, it's 245 million. Cap is a leader in on-demand ordering and delivery. So will they be able to compete against a Grubhub and an Uber Eats? Like, what's so special about them, Niall? King Will Lioness, how are you? Gains and losses. DJ Brewmaster. What is CGC? Now, I just asked y'all, what did y'all want to get from me more? And everybody's got stock questions. So I think y'all want more stock from me. Malik Carter, I just talked about you, Malik. I just talked about the interview we just did. Everybody, if y'all are interested in real estate investing, everybody go follow Real Estate Coach Carter. Kabir SB said, I'm giving some good ideas how to invest, how I show my support to you and your time. So you have Cash App. I do have Cash App. I just did a whole Cash App campaign. My Cash App is $ Kamari Ellis. Kamari Ellis Sr. Yeah, Cash App $ Kamari Ellis Sr. Could somebody type that in the chat for me? And I'll pin that. Hey, I don't turn down money. And I appreciate you even offering, Kabir. I truly appreciate that. Because I'm definitely in the process of stepping up, about to get some new equipment. Just had to get a new PC because my laptop broke down. So every little bit counts. So Charlie says, now we don't even have Waiter here in the VA. I downloaded that app last year. Leo Lady Jaqui, how are you? Thanks for joining. Nick, how are you? I don't think we have it either. I just read about it. Jay Sharia Moore, how are you? Hey, Jay Sharia Moore, I need a mask. Hook a brother up, what I got to do. Tell me where I go to buy. Jay Sharia Moore has some dope masks, some culturally appropriate dope masks, and I'm all about the culture. Okay, so the farmer Charlie has is either rare disease or cannabis related. Okay. Chef Larry, how are you? Deneen, how are you? Yeah, now you like these penny stocks. Them companies ain't quality. They trash. Penny stocks are trash. People, come on. Step your game up, Niall. That's what you want me to do, right? What happened to Blue Apron? You know what? I don't know what happened to Blue Apron. I think Blue Apron is still pumping. I think Blue Apron is still around. I am not sure, though. Blue Apron right now trading at $8.48. $8.48. Oh, you know what? About to say something. So right. So like I said, Nayo is my super QuickBooks queen buddy, right? And she just wrote a blog post about Cash App. I'm your play cousin. Aren't we all play cousins though? That's how we rock, right? But listen, Niall just wrote an article about Cash App, and I've been meaning to review it. And she was busting my chops because people have been sending me money via Cash App. I don't know what you want me to do. The people are asking me to do it, but she brought up some very good issues. And the Cash App I actually just had you send the money to isn't my business Cash App. Now I think about it, because one of the things is all of these people are getting money directed to their Cash App, and they're not truly set up like a business. And a lot of times they're going to get jammed up with taxes. They're going to get jammed up with taxes because people like PayPal, people like Square, people like Stripe, they all report to the IRS most times, a lot of times. Real Estate Coach Carter says he's getting hammered on 3 hertz cover calls. Hey, what's your expiration date? Okay, Chef Larry asked the question. Now, this is a good question. What's the difference between cash flow and capital gains? What's the difference between cash flow and capital gains? Can somebody type that in the chat for me as well? Now, you always fuss at me. I'm getting used to it now. I think you might be worse than my mother. But, it's all love. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get to that. So what's the difference between cash flow and capital gains? So listen, a capital gain is, let's start there. That's the easiest one. Capital gain is anytime you sell an asset. It could be a stock, it could be a house, it could be a business. You have to report that, right? So capital gains tax, it's funny, again, I'm talking about NIO. I was having an issue with a tax return I was working on for a real estate investor client who just sold a home. And I'm looking at just how low the tax bill came out, and they had a lot of income. The reason why it was so low is because they get to write off only their capital gains, which is at 15%. Long-term capital gains are 15%. By the way, there is short-term capital gains and there's long-term capital gains. Anybody want to take a guess which one is which? Short-term capital gains are anything that was sold a year, that you own for a year or less. Long-term capital gains are anything that you own for a year or more. The IRS, the government, favors you owning assets for longer than a year. The tax bill is much lower the tax bill is much lower when you have assets you own for a year and you decide to sell. It's much higher when you own something for less than a year and you go to sell it. They want their money. All right. So that's capital gains. That's the tax you have to pay. Now, just to go into it a little bit deeper, right? When you hear folks complain about the rich getting richer and the poor getting poor, and a lot of times they're talking about capital gains and how they're taxed. Now, capital gains are taxed at a lower rate because people have to make an investment, right? They usually have to separate themselves from their cash to invest. And usually it's bigger things. It's real estate investments, it's businesses, right? And so the government wants to incentivize that type of investment. So they give you a break on taxes because the more money you put into the economy, the more the economy grows, the faster it moves, the more it benefits everybody. When the sea rise, all boats rise. I know a lot of people don't like that comment, but I'm speaking from a broad economic standpoint. I'm not going to get into the macro and the minutia of it all, because y'all know I talk about that as well, and a lot of the inequalities in the system. But right now, it's just basic tax 101, economics 101 type stuff. So what's cash flow? Cash flow is all of the money that you bring into your business. Now, typically cash flow is pretty simple for your mom and pop shops, right? You buy something, you sell something. The money you get from the sale is your cash flow. But what if you get a loan? But what if you get somebody to invest into your company, right? But what if you sell a property, right? Because capital gains can also contribute to cash flow. They're two separate things, but they can also be intertwined to a certain extent. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Type a yes into this column as well, or in the comments. Type a yes in the comments if you understand what I'm saying. If I'm going too high, if I'm being too technical, if I'm going over your head, let me know. And we'll start all over again, and I'll break it down all over again. Not a problem. But let me know if you get it. Yes, it's the ins and outs of money. But, like I said, a lot of times, we want to talk about it. Now, I don't talk about this a lot, but when it comes to investments and stocks, actually the most important statement you have is your statement of cash flows. A lot of people don't talk about that. You might hear income statement, you might hear P&L, you might hear balance sheet every now and again, but your statement of cash flows is the most important statement. Now, the statement your bank wants, for our small business owners, is usually the P&L because they don't have any need for it. But if you are a stock market investor and you're looking at companies, it would behoove you to look at the statement of cash flows, because then that'll show you the true money flow that's coming into that company. Yes, Niall, I know you prefer the balance sheet over the cash flow statement, but the balance sheet doesn't truly reflect. You could have assets sitting on your balance sheet that don't generate any cash flow, but you can see that on the cash flow statement. But anyway, me and Niall could nerd out on that all day long, because it's what we do, and she is the QuickBooks queen. I said stock sales can also be capital gains. I think I said it. Did I say stock could be capital gains? So Charlie said, listen, Cash App is the hood and jail preferred app right now. They're not worried about taxes. And now they give a virtual routing account number. It's using more. You're right. You're right. I know a lot of people. That for their stimulus money use Cash App. They get stimulus money. You know what, Niall? I don't like PayPal. PayPal charges fees for everything, right? And if you lie and say that it's family and friends and you get caught, sometimes they will shut down your account. Oh, thanks, Jay. I appreciate you. Jay, you be holding me down, man. I appreciate that. You a real one. All right, so I know I got some questions over here on the Facebook and YouTube side of things. So hold on 1 second. Okay, Melanated Alton asked me, do you look at Barron's weekly? I was looking for my stack of Barron's. I've been trying to clean up my office and do a better job. But actually, me and Barron's is beefing right now, because them jokers haven't delivered my paper in like 2 weeks. And I just reported them, and they just took their payment out, and I haven't got my delivery in a couple weeks, so I'm a little peeved. But on the flip side, right, I don't get to read it as often, so I'll be having paper stacked up. I know I got one right here somewhere on my desk. So this is May 11th. I'm trying to get rid of all my paper, y'all. This is April 27th, parents. So yes, I read Barron's, I read Wall Street. I don't read it as much as I should. I definitely don't throw them out as much as I should. It is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, Cindy Steely, how are you? Shares 215. What's up, bro? You supposed to get with me? Okay, I didn't. All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Niall. Well, I gotta go look at that. Now, I don't get any fees. I just wait to transfer the money to my account, because I don't. By the way, please don't use your PayPal, your Cash App. I think Square automatically deposits, but don't use your PayPal and Cash App as bank accounts, right? And what I mean by that is, if you have, this is for my business owners, right? My small business owners. If you collect payments with PayPal, Cash App, whatever it is, don't make payments out of Cash App and PayPal. Pay directly out of your account if you're going to do that payment, right? I'm glad Niall's on here. Matter of fact, we need to do a live together. Now, one of the biggest things, right? And I know I got some questions here, but y'all just sparked this in my brain. There's a lot of people that got caught with their pants down applying for PPP loans. Why? Because their bookkeeping sucks. I have videos somewhere on Facebook, IG, YouTube, where I literally tell people to get a bookkeeper. If you get a bookkeeper, one, it'll help you save on taxes. 2, it'll help you run your business more efficiently. 3, when times like this arise and the government is giving money or the government is preparing to do something, or you can get some kind of special lending, you'll be prepared. Right? I got slammed this year helping out some clients and some friends with this, but had they been prepared with a good bookkeeper, they would be able to get through this just fine. Just fine. No, Chef Larry, I just talked about airlines. I wouldn't touch airlines with your money. I would rather you take the money that you're going to invest in airlines and make me a wonderful meal. So everybody go follow Chef Larry's Creation. He is an awesome chef. I've actually had him up to the radio a couple times. He made us breakfast. I've been to several events of his, and he's made all kinds of stuff. And he's not your typical, black dude making chicken on the grill. This dude gets fancy and all the stuff tastes great. Tastes great. People will be out of Cash App freezes their account because you violate their TOS, which means terms of service. I've seen it happen and people lose thousands of dollars. All right, that's why we want to talk about it. I just pinned that. All trying to avoid credit card fees. Listen, credit card fees are a monster, right? Let's not, and God knows if you are taking American Express, you're getting mollywopped. You know what, Leon? I have no idea how to say your name. Oh, I got it. I just read it. El, the numeral uno. Thanks for joining us. But there's a lot of people that Sydney, you want to catch it on YouTube? All right. Nah, you just on time, Sydney. You good. Big ass N. Thank you. The business is just a square and should be taking fees. All right, you want to just harp on this daggone Cash App, but I appreciate you because we're stewards, right? Y'all know I love the word stewardship. It's very important to me. You can't be out here doing janky stuff. You got to always keep your people, especially your clients' best interests at heart. It's very important. Dr. Cooper 2019, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Cindy, you need a bookkeeper for your business? Talk to me. Holla at me. Let's talk. What is your business, by the way? Roto Doc, how are you? Thanks for joining. No, you're not. You're lying. You ain't going to leave me alone about Cash App. You don't leave me alone about nothing. So, listen, I need y'all help. Cash Flow Tone. Yo, that's a dope name. Cash Flow Tone. We literally were just talking about cash flow. Yeah, I suggest a lot of people get into Navy Federal. I like Navy Federal Credit Union. I like Navy Federal. It's one of the better credit unions in my opinion. Okay, so I got a couple of questions on the YouTube side. Okay, Brandon, I think you're talking about Aurora. Said after the split, when it went to 1946, I cashed out and took a $36 profit. And I'm assuming that's $36 per share. My man. Right, you said, even though ACB did the stock split, I had 10 shares after it. Okay, you had 10 shares after it. So you must have had, what is it, 12 for one? You still had 10 left over, so what, you had 120 shares? That's real quick and dirty math. Can I break down how I evaluate a company fundamentally? That takes a bit longer. What I will say, Jamar, is these are the things that I look at when I'm breaking down a company fundamentally. I'm looking at cash flow. I'm looking at their balance sheet. I want to know how much cash they got, right? I'm looking at some other factors like I'm looking at quick ratio, which basically tells me how long they can survive without getting any cash in. I'm looking at management, right? And particularly how well management is done over time. And sometimes that can be a little tricky. So you got to look at ratios. I tend to look and see if companies are doing a good job deploying their cash, i.e., are they paying down their debt, and are they increasing their dividend, and also managing the company well by increasing revenue, right? How well do they deal with change? Are they moving slow? Like, so for example, I've been dogging Sears. I don't even know where Sears is now. I think they turned into some kind of holding company, last I heard. But I've been dogging Sears for years. I think the last blog post on my Financial Rebels website is about Sears and how inept they are. And when you talk about Sears, right, it's funny because when you talk about Sears, Amazon very much built their company off of the Sears model. They followed many of the same principles that Sears did, but they couldn't manage, right? They got all these stores, all this real estate, they didn't do anything with it. Why didn't they make it more of an event space? Why didn't they make it more experiential? Why didn't they figure out things to do with that space? I give the same criticism to Toys R Us. Now, Toys R Us is a different scenario, though, because Toys R Us got bought by a private equity company. And the private equity company, if anybody remembers the movie Wall Street with Bud Fox and Gordon Gekko, Mr. Greed is good. They would strip companies. And that's what happened in large part to Toys R Us. But Sears never figured out how to get it together. And so if you see a company kind of flounder and they can't get it together, they can never figure out how to do it, you might want to avoid them or keep a strong eye on them. Charlotte Curtis, I missed that. Melanie Alton said, please save this. Okay, it's always saved. It's saved on my Facebook page, which is Kamari Ellis, the Finance Rebel, and it's on my YouTube page, which is just Kamari Ellis. Chaotic Limited. How are you? Hello. Are you going to put out a video explaining options and dividends for beginner traders? So Chaotic Limited, I really don't speak. So let me back up. So options are more of an intermediate / advanced investing strategy or trading strategy. My charge is really to get more people investing. So I talk more to beginners, but I'm starting to play with options a little bit more. I talk about dividends a lot. I wouldn't suggest beginners play with options. I think it's too confusing. Sometimes it can be too fast. For example, I know some people that had options in Aurora, a couple people, and they didn't get what they wanted out of the options. They had some calls on them, and so it just went crazy. Now that is a one-time situation. However, I don't think options are a good spot for beginners to start. I think beginners should start buying companies that they know, like, and love. And guess who came up with that? That's not me. That's Peter Lynch. And Peter Lynch was one of the best portfolio managers ever to do it over at Fidelity. So, Warren Buffett very much says the same thing. But maybe, I guess, like in some of my communities, by the way, if anybody wants to be around a bunch of people who talk about money a lot and want to increase their financial IQ, go over to Facebook and join the Finance Rebel Academy. And so my IG just went out. Let's say, I'll come back to that. IG just went out, and so I have to save it. But, for the most part, I don't recommend people do options as a beginning strategy. But, I mean, what I will say is if you buy a call, you got calls and puts on option. A call is a contract to potentially buy a stock at a given price. You have stock price. A put is, I want to say, it's the opportunity to the opportunity to sell a stock at a given price. So, I mean, that's kind of options 101. There's definitely more to it than that. It's options 101, the quick version. But yeah, I don't really talk a whole lot about options. Rhonda Cox, when you have a moment of a move, excuse me, when you have a movement of only, it can be either negative or positive. I like positive. That's right. That is correct. That is correct. So when Rhonda's saying, when you have a movement in cash flow, it's either going to be negative or it's going to be positive. You got money coming in or you have money going out. Oh, wow, it's taking so long. So that's right. And yes, I like positive cash flow. Only time I'm okay with a negative cash flow, if let's say it's a beginning company. Like right now, I want to say Uber still has negative cash flow. I want to say Uber still has negative cash flow. I want to say Lyft still has negative cash flow. So give me 1 second, y'all. I want to say Lyft has negative cash flow. A lot of IPO companies or brand new companies that have experienced an IPO have negative cash flow. And the reason why they're able to do negative cash flow is because they get a bunch of cash in. They get a bunch of cash in from VC firms or venture capital firms. My man Jimmy, you can't get a digital Behringer. I do. I've got one, Jimmy. I've got that, but it's nothing like the feel of these trees. Like, look at the graphic, right? It's so much better. But yeah, I do have the digital subscription. I just like to actually read it. When I do read it, I don't read it as much as I should. KR Athletic, how are you? Boss Rasta, how are you? Wanda Vernon Collier, how are you? Thank you for joining in today. Remember, everybody, if you're just joining in, my name is Kamari Ellis. You're watching the Finance Rebel Show. This is the Wealthy Wednesday section of the Financial Rebel Show, where we just answer questions. So I appreciate many of you who join me every week. I appreciate all of you who are here tonight. This is what we do all the time. So I'm just going through, if you make profit from a sell, that's a gain, profits and loss. That is correct. And if you lose money from a sell, that's a loss. Hi, Janine, how you doing? Thank you for this platform. I'm listening and learning. All right, wonderful. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments. I usually go through them as best as I can. We've been rocking now for about an hour. And so I'm just, going through the questions as we get them. Tiffany Thompson says she loves Navy Federal Credit. Yeah, a lot of people like Navy Federal. A lot of people. Yes, Bada Hood. Shout out to my Bada Hood brothers, Jimmy Williams and Corey Camp. They said beginners absolutely need to learn the fundamentals before trading options. And so what's funny, right? When we talk about options, when we talk about trading, when we talk about futures, when we talk about all this stuff, right? It's always the sexy stuff. Everybody wants the sexy stuff. Everybody wants me to talk about the sexy stuff, even now with penny stocks. And I tell people, a lot of y'all, and listen, this is no diss, I get it, but a lot of y'all are looking for a lottery ticket. A lot of y'all are looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, but I ain't with it. And the reason I ain't with it is because usually people crash and burn. And listen, we all work too hard getting our money to just throw it away. All we got to do, though, is be diligent. Listen, I don't have a problem with options. I don't have a problem with penny. I do have a problem with penny stocks. I ain't going to lie. But I don't have a problem with options. I don't have a problem with futures. I don't even have a problem with trading. What my problem is that a lot of people make these advertisements that, oh, it's so easy. And, oh, we can do this. And you can get rich, rich, rich. But what they don't tell you is that 95% of traders lose money, right? So if you want to get into that game, you got to be willing to lose money. Is that good or bad? Well, I think it's good, right? Even when you're in business, everybody tells you there's a period of growth that you have to experience where you are losing money, where you're getting everything in order, where you're getting your processes in order. So trading, no matter what type of instrument that you're using, it's very much like a business, right? Or it's very much like a venture that you got to prepare yourself for mentally, I would say physically and emotionally, but especially emotionally, matter of fact, and spiritually. You want to see somebody flip out? I've been on trading floors where guys have literally gotten to fistfights over 5 pennies. I mean, like, I'm laughing, but there are times where that could be a very, very serious situation. But that's the culture a lot of times in a lot of these trading floors and shops. It happens. It happens. So I would just say be patient. I know nobody likes to be patient, right? I know a lot of people see this opportunity, they want to jump in it. But listen, if you've been rocking with me for any period of time, I'm not new, right? I've got over 20 years of experience working from accounting, financial advising, and Wall Street institutional investing. So I've seen some things, and I've seen a lot of people lose money when they try to get in too quick, right? Think about it like a relationship. I'm a man, I'm married, right? I don't look at the relationship. I didn't look at the relationship with my wife as a one-night stand. A lot of y'all looking at these relationships with these money instruments as one-night stands. Y'all need to get married to them. Y'all need to commit to them. And what I mean by commit to them is like really get down in the dirt, understand what they're about, understand how they move the markets, understand everything that there is to understand about it, and then move up. But you know how they talk about that 10,000 hours? Well, 10,000 hours isn't always 10,000 hours, but it's commitment, it's dedication, it's practice, it's study. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. Hey, Camise, how are you? Let me say, I hope I said your name right today. I think I did, but correct me if I did. Kevin Gee joins us again from the West Coast. How are you, sir? So I totally agree with that. By the way, if nobody is following Buy the Hood, go follow Buy the Hood on YouTube, on Facebook, and on IG. Okay, now you moved over here. I just kicked you off. Yeah, I exceeded my my 1 hour time limit. I just started back up on IG though, so now we are into hour 2. Now I get that, right? And I see there's another question over here. I might have missed it. So I saw somebody ask me about fractional investing. So listen, you don't have to invest a whole lot of money before you get going, right? Because it's more about quality, right? I used to have this economic professor that would elongate all his vowels. Like he would say oligopoly. So it was the funniest thing ever. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money. Again, it's like quality, right? You buy these bootleg trash companies that could delist at any moment. And I'm not picking on you. But yeah, I am picking on you. It's my turn to pick on you because you pick on me all the time. So this is my get back. But you can buy Amazon for $1. I brought Amazon. I spent $10, right? I think I tell the story every week. I spent $10 on Amazon in November. What do you think it's worth now? And Amazon has been surging. Let me find Amazon's price. But I only used $10, right? And I started talking about this idea of, because Cash App allows you to do fractional shares. There's some other apps that allow you to do it. But the one I choose is Cash App because just like Jay Sharia Moore said that it's hot. Oh no, Philly Charlie said it's hot on the streets. So everybody uses it. So instead of buying some nonsense, right? Buying some stupid stuff, you can take $5 and buy some stocks. You can take $10 and buy some stocks. How many people go to, before COVID, before stay in place, how many people will go to Starbucks several times a week and only contribute to their bottom line or their profit, never having the opportunity to participate? How many people would go to McDonald's? A lot of y'all still going to McDonald's. I'm guilty too. Don't tell nobody though. Never have the opportunity to participate in McDonald's and their profits. They make money all over the world, right? So Amazon right now is, I was pulling it up. Here's the thing, folks. It's all about positioning. Life is about positioning. Life is about positioning. If you never position your money to make money, you'll never make money with your money. That makes sense to you, right? If anybody's ever read the book, The Wealthiest Man in Babylon, or the richest man in Babylon, one of the things is make slaves out of your money, which essentially means make your money work for you. Make your money grind for you. Make your money build for you. Well, you can't build it if you're always spending it. Right? I see some people talk about savings is dumb. Some of these fake gurus. I'm gonna start talking about some of the fake gurus. I might not name no names, but the people that are saying that savings is dumb. How many of y'all think savings is dumb now? I tell people all the time, right? You know, the standard was kind of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I tell people to have 6 months to a year worth of their income. There's a difference. The average time before all of this, right? The average time to find a new job, let's say you lost your job, the average time it took was 9 months, typically. Well, people tend not to reduce their lifestyle when they're unemployed. They tend to do the same stuff. So I noticed that with my clients, and I said, you need to save your income. Now, a lot of people that make, 100,000 plus, 200,000 plus, they get scared. They get scared because it's such a big number. Well, I'll say start at $1,000 and then you build up. But the goal should be 6 months to a year in your income. All right. So Amazon is $2,497.99. So for all intent and purposes, it's $2,500. And I brought this back in November. So in November, let me see, how much was Amazon? Amazon was about $1,700. About $1,700, right? So I said, my thought process, right? And this isn't rocket science. I spend a lot of money on Amazon buying products. Matter of fact, I just got a new book the other day. I didn't even open it up yet. I'll open it up and show it to y'all in a minute. But I spend a lot of money on Amazon. Why not participate? Why not participate in their bottom line? So y'all see. Now, every stock isn't like that. And I do show my Cash App portfolio from time to time. There's a couple of losers like Ford's a dog right now. But that's okay. I'm buying Ford for the long haul. All my stuff is actually for the long haul. All my stuff is for the long haul. So, the next time you go to Starbucks, the next time you order out from Grubhub or Uber Eats or Chipotle or whatever restaurant you might like, ask yourself, I like this place. Maybe I should buy the stock. Listen, everybody who owns a pair of Jordans and does not own a pair of Nike shares, y'all hustling backwards. I put that out. Matter of fact, Bada Hood shared it on their page. People were assassinating me. It was like, this is dumb. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. So you're telling me I should buy every stock of stuff I purchase? No, you shouldn't buy the stock of everything you purchase. But here's the thing. If you are always a consumer, you will always be broke. Simple and plain. You have to become a producer. You have to become a creator. You have to become an investor in order to build any kind of wealth. And I do this so people can build more wealth. Why? Because in my community, the Black community, the wealth gap is at about $11,000 net worth for an average Black family, and your average white family in the USA is about $144. Now, my community, the Black community, loves real estate. We saw in the last crash that real estate got hit really hard. The Black community trailed behind in many aspects of wealth creation around 07, 08, and 09 because real estate got hit. But guess what bounced back even faster than real estate? The stock market. Over 300% over the last 10 years, right? So you didn't even have to be a rocket scientist to do that. You could have just brought a basic ETF that follows the S&P 500. So you missed out on all those opportunities. But I apologize. I went on a diatribe. That wasn't my point. I'm supposed to be here answering y'all's questions, serving y'all. So my apologies. So Curtis Davis says, buy quality, buy Square stocks. Well, I like Square. I like Square as a company. I think they're going to do some things. They got plenty of money, and they're going to do some things. Square is starting to compete with Shopify, which I think is very interesting. Yes, now Cash App has fractional shares. Robinhood advertises that they have fractional shares, and they put you on this freaking list, right? So if y'all remember, I would say you could do it on Robinhood or Cash App because that's what they advertise. But then they do this whole bait and switch thing with putting you on a list to do fractional. I know some people are on it, some people aren't. There's no waiting list on Cash App. Just go on there, buy the stocks. Matter of fact, there is a video out there on my YouTube channel where I talked about using Cash App. It might be on my IG as well. Name them. Nah, I ain't gonna name them. I ain't gonna name them. Dave Ramsey. I respect Dave Ramsey's community. A lot of things Dave says is old school wisdom that he gets credit for that he didn't actually create. But listen, no diss to Dave, he's not my cup of tea. But listen, for the people who are working his plan and getting out of debt, I think it's awesome. Ain't no bombs dropped. Yes, Square owns Cash App. That is correct. Biggest mistake I made was selling shop in 2018, feeling sick looking at those prices today. It happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. You're not going to get them all. So Karan says, yo, can you drop a newsletter and Facebook group? I got a Facebook group already. It's the Finance Rebel Academy. I've been really delinquent in my emails. I have a bunch of copywriter friends. I'm about to do this whole e-commerce series on my Saturday show. And they make fun of me because I don't send out enough emails. I should be doing more emails. But listen, when do I have time to send emails when I'm hanging out with y'all? All right, so Karan says, can you open a business account with Navy Federal? Can you open up a business account with Navy Federal? Because you can't with PFCU. PFFCU is Police and Fire Credit Union here in Philadelphia. We also have Philadelphia Federal Credit Union as well. So Karan, this is what I will say about credit unions. I don't like credit unions for business accounts. I know some of them have them. And I can't say this applies to Navy Federal, but I'm speaking generally now about credit unions. I don't like them because typically when you go to do the bookkeeping, it is a pain in the royal behind. Typically their feeds to pull data. I use QuickBooks a lot to pull data into QuickBooks. Doesn't work. And then a lot of times I have to sift, sort, and screen through the statements, which is a lot of time. So I would caution against that. Limited edition living. How are you, lady? That's what I said. I said Jeremy's. Oh, God. I'm sorry. Did I say her again? Jamie Richardson, how are you? Stockpile is cool. Some of Stockpile's back office operations vexes me at times, though. Connections Consulting 21, how are you? Is that Life's Barbie? Life's Barbie, how are you? Showbiz, what's up, bro? Shopify, definitely stock to get. They deliver weed in Canada. Charlie Philly, you are all about the weed, I see. You don't have a habit, do you? Shills Lester, how are you doing? You bought 60 shares of FUV. What is FUV? Let's look that up real quick. Arcimoto, $2.29. Yet another victim to penny stocks. Keep telling you people, penny stocks are the spawns of the devil. Come on. Why you buy that? Tell me why you bought it. I'm not going to go on you. You're having problems with the connection tonight. All right. So, all right, we're going to look at Arcimoto. Is it Archie or Arcimoto? I keep telling y'all, people be losing these shirts with in these penny stocks. Penny stocks are highly manipulated. They have all these like chat rooms where they say buy this stock, and they buy the stock, and it's all artificial. They do these pump and dump schemes, and then people think they're getting the next big thing, and they're not. They got a pipe dream. They got a lottery ticket that's worthless at this point. Lottery tickets suck. Showbiz, I probably should be talking about lottery tickets that you're on, right? You know I hate lottery tickets. Showbiz is one of my best friends from childhood, and this dude used to stay playing the lottery. He did hit a couple times, though. He did hit. So Arcimoto is a $56 million company. It's trading, like I said, $2.29. Doesn't pay a dividend. Of course not. Doesn't have the money to pay a dividend. I'm trying to see what they do. What do they do? What do they do? Listen, if anybody has any questions, throw them in the comments while I'm looking up this ticker symbol. Yeah, it's in the last year, the stock has went, well, excuse me, for the last 5 years, it went from $5.75 down to $2. It's been in a negative trend for like 5 years. It's been in a negative trend for like 5 years. So, all right. So Arcimoto designs, develops, manufactures, and sells three-wheeled electronic vehicles. Its portfolio of electronic vehicles includes fun utility vehicles. So I guess that's FUV, rapid responder for specialized emergency security and law enforcement, and deliverator for delivery of goods. The company was formerly known as WTP, Incorporated, and changed its name to Arcimoto December 2017. Let's see. Yeah. 900,000 in revenue. That's not sexy. Gross profit is a negative 10,000. So gross profit negative 1.9 million. Let's look. Do they have any cash? They got $5 million in cash. 244 million in receivables. I wouldn't touch this company with your money. Sorry, Lester. You still hitting show? All right. Well, I ain't playing it. Listen, take $5 of that stock money and buy some stock. Buy some Amazon. Yeah, they are old, but it's simple and works. Yeah, no, Tiffany, again, Dave Ramsey, for those. So here's the thing, right? A lot of people, a lot of these financial gurus, right? And I don't think Dave is trying to scam anybody, right? I do want to say that for a record. There's a lot of other people who I do believe and know that they're scamming people. But I don't think Dave is trying to scam people. I think Dave was a guy who was in real estate, who went bankrupt, and he developed this no credit policy. And then he became a radio. He's like a radio legend. Listen, like I said, the following community that Dave Ramsey has is totally respectable. Like, I can't say nothing about him. I love doing radios. Like, I can't hold a candle to Dave at this point. Maybe one day. But when you say no credit, no debt, that's only for a certain type of person. That is not for a person that is looking to aggressively develop wealth. And yeah, I would say it's not for the person who's even wealth. It's more for middle class folks. And then so, one day if we ever have time, there's people that talk about advice, right? And to me, they have stratospheres. You got your poverty pimps. You have middle class advisory or middle class advice. And then you have the stuff that the big boys do. Now, be clear. I want y'all to be clear. I am not on the bandwagon of saying you got to do this because the rich people are doing this, right? Everybody says multiple streams of income. Everybody needs multiple streams of income because people are rich. Everybody that's rich or a millionaire has multiple streams of income. What they fail to realize, or maybe they just haven't done enough study, is that typically the people that are millionaires or wealthy that are rich didn't get rich with multiple streams of income. They got rich with one, maybe two streams of income. They didn't do it off of multiple streams of income. You know why? Because focus is real. And separation of focus is devastating. And so if you're really serious, right, when you look at, if you look at a Robert Johnson, right, a Bob Johnson, BET, all he worked on for the most part was BET. That's why I was able to sell it for $1 billion, or maybe it was $2 billion, right? When you look at Steve Jobs founded Apple, started Apple, got fired, went to Pixar, focused on, well, there's something in I think Next was in the middle, right? Then went to Pixar, but he was only focusing on Pixar until Pixar got big enough, and he got called back to Apple. He was only basically focusing on Apple. He was the CEO for a minute of both, but there was extreme focus, and he had staff, right? So for your average, everyday person that works a 9 to 5, or maybe that has a business that makes six figures, they really don't have the resources or time to try to do multiple streams of income. Now, you could have multiple streams or multiple products or divisions in your company, right? That's different. And if they all overlap and they correlate. So for example, right, everybody knows I do a lot of taxes, but I have over 20 years experience. I still do some investment. I still do some investment advising. I still people help with insurance. I'm not licensed in insurance, so I don't sell it, but I help people with it. I could easily go get my life insurance license now, get back to getting people to buy life insurance from me. And that could be another revenue line for my business. But to me, that's not multiple streams of income, if you get what I'm saying. It's still related to my business. I'm still educating about finance, money, stocks, taxes, insurance. I can easily add that on. I don't want to because life insurance is a pain in the butt, but that's something I could easily do. But when you're talking about, you go to your 9 to 5, where let's say you're a clerk, right? And you've got all these great organizational skills, and then you go try to sell this wonderful earth-breaking juice that's going to bring everybody back to life. And it's like the fountain of youth, but you've got no sales skills. Now, yeah, you can learn them, but it doesn't line up with your core offering a lot of times. The best thing for that clerk or that organizer to do maybe is start becoming a virtual VA. Maybe, right? I mean, there's a lot of different factors in here. All I'm trying to tell you is that this notion of multiple streams of income, the way that people sell it, especially a lot of my MLM homies, is bullshit. I'm just saying, it's not real. All right, so I'm not trying to dog nobody out, but you know. Remy, what's up, Remy? Remy, you still selling homes down in the DMV? Right, perfect, Tiffany. Use it to get out of debt. That's perfect. Yes, Curtis. There's a lot of middle class advice. I could go on and on about that. I won't though. Yeah, Davey be pitching the actively managed funds. He pitches mutual funds. I hate mutual funds. I love ETFs, but I hate mutual funds. Mutual funds typically carry too high of an expense. And you can get the same thing for a fraction of the cost of the ETF. So yeah, I totally agree. Yes, Steve Jobs created assets, $2 billion companies. Yes, Curtis, I often say that Steve Jobs is probably the greatest CEO of this time. He's no longer here. You can debate that, right? There's some other people like Jeff Bezos is coming up there, and we're just looking at the impact of the company and the revenue and the impact they've had on society overall. Why'd you say, oh no, Miss Edith? All right, so it looks like we got all of those answered. Hey, how you doing, sir? I see you out and about taking pictures. Oh, you might like this. So this is the book I got. It's titled The Memphis Diary of Ida B. Wells, right? So we got to be conscious and about our money all at the same time. Base I none. How are you? Jumanji. Oh, Jumanji Chad, how are you? How you been, bro? Miss K student, you're back. Heartbreak, how are you? So listen, what questions y'all got? What comments y'all got? What thoughts y'all got? Thanks, everybody. Thanks to everybody that's joining us tonight. What do you think about target date funds? And, excuse me, Daniel Bergsteiner asks, what do you think about target date funds for retirement in your 403B or Roth? They're fine. They tend to be a bit expensive. You could usually create that same target date fund with some good ETFs, some cheap ETFs. And what a target date fund is it's all about asset allocation, right? What is asset allocation? Basically your mix of stocks, bonds, and other type of investments. Like, for example, they might have a target date fund that's, let's say, a 2050 fund. So if you anticipate retiring in 2050, they'll create this kind of cookie cutter mix for anybody they feel is going in 2050. It's okay. It's a start. I know a lot of people are scared right now in their 403Bs, 401Ks, 457 plans. So, I tell people to look at all their options. I actually plan on doing a 401k, 403B webinar to help people manage their stuff, because a lot of people don't even understand what's going on in their 401k and 403B plan. A lot of people are ready to jump out because they don't realize they've got investment options. And by the way, while we're talking about retirement plans, 401ks, 403Bs, please don't listen to anybody that tells you not to invest in your 401k or 403B. They don't know what they're talking about, especially if there's a match. Now, if there's not a match and, maybe there's some other things going on, you can talk about it, but you can think about not doing it. But for the most part, and you're working a 9-to-5 job, is good. Even if you have a business. One of my favorite retirement plans is a solo 401k. You can put away a lot of money and you can get a great tax break with the solo 401k. But Daniel, just, to answer your question, it's okay. I think you probably could get a better rate of return just using maybe your all stock fund and some bonds. But I would have to, know your situation. That's not a recommendation. All this stuff is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Karan, I think Iger's a genius. Iger's a genius, but he's no longer there. He stepped down. Bob Iger over at Disney. That's what he's talking about. And listen, the run Bob Iger just did, like the last, 10 years, where he brought up all the assets. He got Star Wars. He got most of the Marvel or the MCU, the amusement parks. They're well-oiled machine. The multiple streams of income. Yeah, I definitely will let you know how this book is. I'm a big Karen Hunter fan. And Karen Hunter had Greg Carr. And I'm a big Greg Carr fan because, one, he teaches at the college that I wanted to go to. I am like HBCU jealous. I always wanted to go to Howard. I couldn't make it, so I just kind of live HBCU adjacent through all my other HBCU folks. So I saw him on Karen Hunter. He was talking about Karen Hunter, and he mentioned this book because they were talking about Ida B. Wells. And it's funny. I've known about Ida B. Wells, but I wasn't super familiar. And I read a book called Black Fortunes. I think all of y'all want to read this book. It's called Black Fortunes by a gentleman by the name of Shamari Willis, I believe his name is. But he talked a lot about Ida B. Wells in that book, which piqued my interest because she had a very great relationship with a brother by the name of Robert Church, and he's from Memphis. And so out of all the characters, by the way, Black Fortunes is about supposedly the first 6 Black folks from slavery that became millionaires. The reason I say supposedly is because I've heard about others that weren't mentioned in the book. The book is excellent, though. The book is absolutely excellent. I love the book. I got it around here somewhere. Mr. LeBron, how are you, sir? Thanks for joining us. And so I got kind of reintroduced to Ida B. Wells, and it just talked about how tenacious she was, how vigilant she was. Robert Church helped her out. They had a very contentious relationship, but respectable relationship from what the book says. Right, Karan says he loves Black Fortunes. Yeah, it's a great book. I think everybody should read it. But, Robert Church is my favorite character in there because Robert Church was the son of a slave whose father was actually the plantation owner or something like that. The father would take him on a boat. They went to Memphis, almost died in the Mississippi River. But this guy was so gangster, right? Good gangster. I ain't talking about street stuff. I'm talking about real gangster. That he built businesses, made a bunch of money. He basically bankrolled Memphis when he went through their plague, right? He saved the city of Memphis. Nobody tells us about stuff like that in school. Nobody tells us about that. He built up a saloon, wound up getting into a fight with a bunch of cops, shoots a cop. He gets shot, almost dies, but then he comes back. And then, like I said, he kind of saved Memphis. And then, everybody likes to talk about Black Wall Street. And I'm cool with it, but there were a lot of other business centers in the country outside of just Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street was kind of special because Black folks migrated to Oklahoma because the Native Americans were driven to Oklahoma, and supposedly it would be more friendly for Black folks. But going back to Robert Church, he donated money from people to move from Memphis, Tennessee to Oklahoma after a major race riot. And so I find it interesting because there's always this weird dichotomy of the so-called rich versus the so-called poor, especially in the Black community. And we like to paint everybody that's rich as a sellout, which is the furthest thing from the truth. Because if you go back in history and you look at a lot of our prominent business figures, they were always down. Most of them, right? I'm speaking generally. Yeah, there were some folks who wanted to be on the other side of the fence, but a lot of them, most of them who don't get credit, were in favor of Black prosperity, Black equality, things like that, civil rights. And those stories don't get told often. So that's why I love that book. But anyway, I heard Greg Carr, again, professor down at Howard, talking about this book on Karen Hunter's show, and it just sounds so interesting that I had to do it. So as a hobby, I read about history a lot, especially history as it relates to our people, because nobody tells us about it. And so we got to go do the work ourselves. So I think I missed your thoughts on Amazon Circle and AMC. You didn't miss it because I didn't talk about it. Nobody asked me about it. But I don't know if movies are going to come back, movie theaters, at least anytime soon. I do believe we will come back. Everybody's saying that everything's changed and we're in a new normal. But if you look at any catastrophe, humans have short memory spans. So 6 months from now, I wouldn't be surprised if people were in the movies and eating out and doing things. You already see people standing in line. There's a famous cheesesteak place here in Philadelphia called Max's. Over the weekend, they had long lines down the street. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But I'm not sure if Amazon really has the capacity to run a movie theater. I mean, I know they have a couple of retail stores, but movie theaters are truly retail. And if you're not really ready to make the investment, because Ms. Edith just put in there about driving movie theaters are starting to see a resurgence. And so if you got some money and you got some land, it might be a good time to think about building and driving a movie there. But it takes a capital contribution or capital investment rather. So I don't know. What book is that around Black elites? He has a book about the Black elites. What do you think about the state of college department within our community? So listen, Melanated Outs, and I don't know if you saw, By the Hood still on it. So By the Hood, which is Jimmy and Corey, the Ivy Investor, and myself have created what's called the Black Wealth Project. And so this coming Sunday, we'll be talking about the state of college within our community. Basically, I think the title is College and Yes or No. I have my thoughts about it. I know the Ivy Investor has her thoughts about it. A lot of people have their thoughts about it, but I'm going over to the Black Wealth Project and subscribe. So every week, what the Black Wealth Project is, every week we have what we call a town hall meeting, and we talk about issues in the Black community specifically. I know I talk about a lot of the same stuff here, but here is a little bit more muddy. Everything over there is through the lens and for the Black community. So I wanted to separate it out. But you can find the Black Wealth Project on Instagram, on Twitter, on IG, and YouTube. And so I saw another. Yes, Jamar, Black Fortunes is on your list to buy. Please check back in with us and let me know how you liked it. Yeah, you asked me about Powernomics. I'm a fan of Dr. Claude Anderson. I had the opportunity to participate in an event that he keynoted in years ago here in Philly. I think a lot of the stuff is square on. I love how he breaks down the building of the blueprint of wealth for the Black community. I don't agree with it all now. And the reason I say I don't agree with it all now is because I think it needs to be remixed and updated, right? So he says media is like the fifth floor. So he said the first floor is like buying businesses or getting businesses going, circulating money in the Black community. The second or third floor is like buying your politicians. I have some issue with that too. I think it's oversimplified. I think the Black community, so let me back up. So step one, right? Do business in our community makes sense. Support business in our community, no brainer, right? Step two, I think, is again, buy your politicians. I feel this is my feeling, that the Black community, because of how we've been treated in this country, does not get invested in the political process. Oftentimes, again, I'm speaking generally. I think that one of the things we should be doing is doubling down on the political process. Not like it's been before, right? We don't need Black faces that are white controlled. That's not what I'm talking about. We need to fully understand the system and control the system. You want to really put pressure on police brutality, attack the mayors, attack the commissioners, and not physically. But if you could organize, like one of the things that really pissed me off is after Ferguson, after Mike Brown was murdered by the cop, is that the community came back and voted for the same mayor that allowed the stuff that came in. And Ferguson was predominantly a Black community. And you voted the same guy in. Now, mind you, it wasn't like the officer, had this event and the township and the city was forthcoming and was full transparency. That's not what happened. There was a whole lot of shenanigans and a whole lot of BS that went on, and they didn't get that. But we didn't vote, and we didn't show up. So if you're serious about empowering the community, we have to fight on all fronts: political, economic, business, health. Like, I know a lot of times we like to try to play this game about Black on Black crime. Nobody's talking about heart attacks. We have more heart attacks than we have gun violence. Now, I know that's not sexy, right? It doesn't sell a lot of newspapers. It doesn't lead in the media. But I would say diet is more of an issue than gun violence. But if you ever notice, right, there's always been this narrative about classifying the Black community as subhuman, or as an ape, or as an animal, right? Pseudoscience or fake science, created stuff to back that up. The media back that up. But none of that's true. So At some point, we got to say we're going to do for ourselves. We're going to create for ourselves and do for ourselves, and really understand how to operate the system to then change the system. Because you can't change the system from the outside. So, that's what I had to say. I have a whole lot more to say. That's the other reason. I didn't want to inundate you guys with my political feelings, philosophies, and opinions. We'll be doing a lot more of that on the Black Wealth Project. Yes, I said the Black Wealth Project on IG, the Black Wealth Project on Facebook, the Black Wealth Project on YouTube. So let me see. I know I got some more questions. Do I day trade or do I hold for the long haul? So me personally, if I trade, I'm swing trading. I don't really day trade. My emotional makeup, I can do it. I used to do it a lot when I was institutional, but for my money, my emotional makeup a lot of times doesn't suit well for that. Every now and again, I'll do it, but I'd rather swing trade. But typically, the most of the stuff I'm doing now is more long-term investing. Yes, driving movie theaters definitely making a comeback. Actually, I don't think driving movie theaters should ever left. I think they're cool. Problem is real estate got too expensive. So if you're looking at the square footage of your typical movie theater versus a drive-in, the drive-ins want to have way more square footage. And it takes more to get that up and going. Yes, that's where the power is, not just the black candidate. Right, yes. The community has to be totally invested in it, and not just voting, right? Because a lot of people get confused when I talk about politics and the political system. Political system is not just voting. It is not just voting. Again, it is not just voting. It's also understanding the issues that are on the table. It's also holding the political reps accountable. Now, oftentimes we don't finance our political reps. The businesses in the community do. And that's where we go wrong oftentimes. There's no real checks and balances. So Jumanji Chad says it's a report out that doctors amputate more black people than white people, but diabetes or for poor circulation. Yeah, I believe that. Diabetes, high blood pressure, a lot of it comes from poor food habits. A lot of us are just stressed. I mean, to be totally honest, a lot of us are just stressed for a lot of reasons. When you look at the brother Aubrey that runs, I run, that just jogs through white neighborhoods. Sometimes I jog through white neighborhoods. It's like this dude got gunned down for no fucking reason at all. And then you got him showing the guy going into a construction site. Like that justifies cold-blooded murder. And then now they're talking about him getting tased a couple years ago, wrongfully so, because he quote unquote didn't comply with the officer's request, but he wasn't aggressive at all, right? So a lot of it's propaganda. They say black folks are more violent than everybody else. That's the picture they paint, but we know that's a lie. So, all right, enough of that, right? Y'all tired of me hearing that. But so commercial real estate might start dropping more toward potential investors. What do you mean by that, LeBron? Commercial real estate is getting mollywopped right now. Mr. PDQ, how are you? Leo Lady, you're back. How are you? Matter of fact, Jimmy was on when me and Jimmy did our weekly town hall meeting on the Black Wealth Project. Jimmy brought up the fact that there is a REIT in our town called Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust, right? Because remember, REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. It's $1 now. And it owns some pretty big malls in this area. But it's getting smacked around. It's under $1. Why? Because everything has kind of slowed down. There's really no sales. I heard that whose report was it where 90% of their sales fell. I want to say it was JCPenney, but I'm not sure. Oddly enough, Target and Walmart are doing spectacular because they were positioned. It's all about positioning people. So, but I'm actually doing a deep dive now. I'm looking at some REITs because I've talked about this before. There's different segments of real estate and real estate investment trust. And so I do think the healthcare space of REITs is prime to go. I think they're going to be around for a minute. Lives for what is your name? Lives. Oh, Life Barbie. Life Barbie has thoughts on Stockpile. Stockpile's cool. I brought my daughter a stock certificate. She brought Alta with it. It's cool. I don't like the execution side of it, but it's all right. It's all right. It's a start. Yes, JCPenney is filing for bankruptcy. A lot. Also, going back to your point, LeBron, Cheesecake Factory told folks they're not paying their rent. Starbucks is now negotiating lower rent prices with their landlords. And so it's about to get spicy, as the young folks say. Rebel on High Hills, how are you? Hey. Yeah, Chad, you started off trying to day trade, and I did make money. The problem was when I got out early, those same stocks went up for double. So now my strategy is to hold just a little longer. Okay, so it sounds like you're heading to the swing trade side of things. Here's the thing, right? Every strategy has pros and cons. Yeah, you can day trade a stock. You're in and out, right? You buy maybe in the morning, you sell in the afternoon, or you buy at 10 and you sell at 10:05, right? It just depends on what's going on. But if that's your strategy, and you got to kind of live with it. The benefit, there is a benefit of day trading, right? Your capital is not at risk overnight. So you get in, you hit the point, you hit it, you get out, win or lose, and then you're done. So, but yeah, but here's the thing. You, at the end of the day, you got to pick what's right for you. You got to pick what's right for you. Quiet Storm 1028, how are you? All right. So Life Barbie asks, what is a good starter investment? So stock, I think, is a good starter investment for the long term, right? Buy something you know. If you like iPods, I got an iPad here I'm working with as well. That's Apple. I got a bunch of Apple stuff. I still don't have a Mac yet. Maybe one day I'll get it. Maybe I can get enough Cash App donations to get me a MacBook. But Apple, if you like fitness and apparel, if you like Nike, if you don't know where to go, you can start with a basic ETF. And the basic ETF I usually suggest folks is, let me tell you, it's VT. Is it VTI? Yeah, it's VTI. That's kind of an all world. It buys some of the biggest companies around the world, and you can hold it. It might go up and down. It's definitely going to go up and down, but you can then look and see and get a better feel of how the market moves. But I got a bunch of stuff on YouTube about beginning in the stock market. I'd say invest in what you know. If you don't know, if you have no idea, and you don't like any name brands, and you're super duper conservative and good with your money and not into brands at all, you can start with an ETF. So Vanguard has a great world ETF. It's low cost. Again, I'm not paid by Vanguard. I don't own that ETF, but I think it is a good one to start with. Okay, Chad said facts. My bad. What is Forex? Man, y'all are loving all the sexy stuff, all the fly stuff, all the lottery ticket stuff. Forex stands for foreign exchange or currency. It's basically investing in other countries' currencies, right? And they trade in pairs. And so you could have what's called, let me keep it simple, right? You can invest in the yen, which is in Japan. That's Japan's currency. You can invest in the euro, which is the European zone's currency. You can invest in the British pound, or they also call it the sterling. You can invest in the Canadian dollar, the loonie. You can invest in the Australian dollar, which is called the Aussie. You can invest in the Swiss franc, and I feel like I'm missing one or two. But you can invest in all those. I don't recommend those for beginners either. Forex market moves very, very, very fast. And it can be very, very expensive to do overnight. So, I would keep that in mind. I would start with stocks because they move the slowest, but they also pay a dividend. Well, let me back up. Some of them pay a dividend, right? many of them. And I would start with something stable, something that's well established, a good business. I'm a big Warren Buffett fan, right? So Warren Buffett says, he says to buy ETF, right? But I think you can get a little more jiggy than that. I think you can buy a stock. For example, I'm bringing this up again, I brought $10 for Amazon. It's a well-run company. Namaste. How are you? What's up, Gene? How you been? Gene, wasn't you supposed to get with me? But, you can start with something, again, that you like. If you need help with that, just inbox me. DM me, rather. Yes, I said the Black Wealth Project on IG. You know what's so funny, Edith? I've said that. I was talking to my wife about that today. Nobody's talking about boosting their immune systems. So Edith says none of the doctors are talking about eating healthy or taking vitamins. Come get tested only. Yes, come get tested only, because the medical field, the pharma field, is only in one business, and that's the business of getting you your money. Now, I do believe doctors and nurses are good people for the most part. But the industry, right? When we look at the industry is about that dough. That's why Tylenol is like $20 in the hospital. So I agree. None of the doctors are talking about getting healthy. None of the doctors are talking about going out and getting sunshine. One of the best ways to generate vitamin D, which is an essential vitamin, is sunlight. It's very important. Nobody's talking about drinking the water, getting fresh air. Everybody's telling you to wear these masks, right? But when you're wearing these masks, you're recycling your own breath for the most part. And if anybody remembers anything from, anatomy or biology, a large part of our air that we're exhaling is carbon dioxide. So, if you just want to breathing majority carbon dioxide, that's not a good thing. You need fresh air, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor. The opinion stated on the Finance Rebel show are mine, and I'm the Finance Rebel. So, you got to deal with that. So, yeah, we're stressed. Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of times. Absolutely. PEI, is that a stock, Karan? Oh, by the way, Karan, that's what I texted you earlier. I texted you because remember, I was talking to you about it kind of when I first had the idea. Well, not when I first had the idea. When I first started thinking about the Black Wealth Project, I was talking to you about it. So I sent you. Shelby, I don't know. But, everybody is like outside wearing masks. And I'm like, why do you want to be outside wearing a mask? You should be outside getting that fresh air. Stockpile is excellent for kids. It's always custodial accounts and has gift cards, which allows families to build their wealth. Yes. I mean, I kind of said that, didn't say that. The only thing is I don't like some of their back office operations. But however, I tell people all the time, listen, write this down. Instead of buying y'all kids a bunch of junk for their birthdays and for Christmas and for other holidays, buy them some stock. Give them the gift that keeps on giving. Buy them a dividend stock. What do I think about the ETF ICLN? I think that's a clean energy. Yeah. And renewable energy in it. I think it's clean energy. It's okay. I think that's, yes, iShares Global Clean Energy. Man, it got mollywopped this year. Not that bad. Started the year at $11.83. Today, it closed out at $11.50. So remember when I was telling y'all folks not to panic when the market dropped? A lot of y'all still panicking. A lot of y'all sold. Y'all didn't listen to me. But you can see that that stock basically recovered everything that it lost in a month to 2 months time period. So let's look at iShares Global. You know what? Let me do this. Give me 1 second, folks. Because one of the things I always forget to do, and I know I can do this, is share my screen. but I always forget for whatever reason. So let's see. So when you want to look at an ETF, right? This is a little ETF primer. Go directly to the company that manufactures that ETF. So in this case, matter of fact, I don't think y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? Is that good? Let me see something. Right, yeah, y'all don't need to see me. So go to the ETF manufacturer. You got iShares, you got Vanguard, you got Spiders, you got VanEck. There's a few more out there. Advisor Shares. There's a few others out there. But just look at it. Look at the overview, what it's supposed to do. So why ICLN, right? They're always selling their stuff. The investment objective. The iShares the iShares Global Clean Energy ETF. ICLN seeks to track the investment results of an index composed of global equities in the clean energy sector. And my IG just went down on me again. IG hasn't been very cooperative tonight. I don't know why. They're not letting the brother live. Don't want that one. So bear me 1 second. I just want to get back up going on IG. So yeah, you should be looking at the investment objective. Like the biggest premise of ETFs, like what they're really based upon, they all track an index. They all track a benchmark. And so in this case, they track a benchmark. What is a benchmark, right? A benchmark is basically just a listing of stocks that have a certain characteristic or follow a certain discipline. Yeah, I don't know. Can't get it. So they all follow that. And so you can see sometimes the investment or the ETF deviates somewhat from the benchmark. So if you look right here, I'm talking about, this is the benchmark here. The performance of that benchmark is 0.32%. The total return of the ICLN is 0.12% over a 1 year period as of March 31st. You're never going to get the same investment results as the benchmark because there's other fees involved. Now, like I said, this stock, or this ETF rather, is only down about 2.83%. It has a 40, it's I'm trying to say this right. I was going to say 46 basis points, but it's 46 100ths of a percent. So in the industry, you would say 46 basis points. And a basis point is just like 1 point of a percent. So this is 46 points of a percent, or 46 basis points. All right. That's how much they charge you every year. It's roughly 0.5%. Now, some of the things you want to look for when you're looking at ETFs is you want to read their holdings right here. So you have Enphase Energy is one of their holdings. And that basket in that ETF, it has 7.44% weighting. So in that basket, 7.5% of the money inside of that ETF is allocated to ticker symbol ENPH, Enphase Energy, Inc. All right. And this is as of May 19th. All right. First Solar. I think First Solar, last I looked, was the biggest solar energy company in the world. But they have all different kinds and from all different locations in the world. So Enphase is in the United States. Solar Edge is in the United States. ZY Solar Holdings is in China. First Solar is the United States. You got New Zealand, you got Denmark, Norway, and Canada. So, you can gain a lot just by looking at an ETF holding. So I hope I didn't confuse anybody or jam anybody up. If you have any questions, just let me know. So mascon factual, right? Yep. So my Cash App is on my iPhone. I'm using my iPhone right now, but I brought Amazon around 1,700. Amazon is around 2,500, right? So it's 1,700. So that's 800. That's $800 difference. Oops. So it's like a 47% return. So 47% return would estimate my $10 is probably now around $14.70, $15, somewhere around there. But here's my thing. I could have just spent that money, on my Amazon Prime membership. Never thought about it, never got anything back from it, and it'll be gone. I made $5 since November. I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. Okay, Jimmy, PEI is Pennsylvania Real Estate Trust. Oh, that's fruit. Okay, yeah, $1.28. That's the one we were talking about. I thought the ticker symbol was PREI. Karan, that's smart. That's smart that you get your great nieces and nephews stocks. Again, listen, we can't necessarily change the wealth gap by making better personal financial decisions. However, we can change our family's dynamic to wealth by making better personal financial decisions. So yes, again, giving our money the opportunity to make money for us means a lot. Zynga, a lot of folks have been sitting around on their phones. Zynga was hot years ago. I don't know what they're doing now. They're integrated with Facebook. The stock is trading at $8.14 right now. I don't get the warm and cuddly feeling about it. I don't really understand their model. Like this Facebook paid them per user. I guess in ads, right? They show a lot of ads. They make about $1.46 billion a year. So we're talking about Zynga, $1.46 billion a year. And they have cash. They got about $400 million in cash. So not bad. Okay, good. Yes, and purchase apps. Thank you. That's how they make their money. But again, it doesn't give me that warm and fuzzy feeling. But let's see, what did it do? Because here's the thing, right? I learned something. You can be right or you can make money. And what I mean by that is that there are times where I think I told you, I said one of my best trades ever was when I shorted the Japanese yen using ETFs. I was way early on that. So I was right, but I wasn't making money, right? Had I waited or had I actually took a long position and the yen, I would have done a lot better. But I kept it because I was doing global macroeconomic analysis. That was the majority of my investment thesis came from. And so sticking to that discipline, I had to kind of follow that through. But I was wrong for a long time. And then I was right. Right. So sometimes, again, you can be right or you can be wrong. You can make money. A lot of times people get lucky and they won't admit that they're lucky. I have no problem admitting I get lucky. I think I said that last week. I was talking about Tilray. I brought Tilray. I brought it like 22, 23. Sucker went with $300. I was expecting for Tilray to be a 10-year plus hold. I was expecting for it to possibly double or triple over those 3 years. It did more than that. Again, I got lucky. So, and I'm not afraid to say it. Always got to keep it real, folks. Always got to keep it real. So I don't see any more questions. Before I run, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns before I jump? And in the room, if you're just watching, this is the Finance Rebel Show. This is our Wealthy Wednesdays Q&A section here every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Today I was here like 8:01-ish. 801 in 30 seconds, right? But every week, I encourage you all to get your questions, right? I don't care if it's stock, tax, life insurance, real estate, business, whatever. I've been in the industry for over 23 years, like I said, between accounting, financial advising, and Wall Street institutional management. So I've been around the block a couple of times, and I love coming here, talking with you all, engaging with you all, helping you all. Again, the whole reason for the Financial Rebel platform is to help raise the financial IQs of people. I would say I hate financial literacy, the idea of it, the term of it, but I don't feel like going to that rant today. I feel it coming, but I ain't going to do it. I'm going to hold back. But listen, if anybody wants to help me out, I am looking to grow my YouTube subscribership. So everyone, please go to YouTube, subscribe, and like this video, because this video is playing live on YouTube right now. It would help me out a lot. Everything is about the algorithm, people. Sadly, we got to try to play games with the algorithms and try to reach as many people as possible. And again, this is free, so I'm trying to help as many people as possible. If anybody has any questions, I always tell folks they can text me. Don't call, text me, because I'm not going to answer if you call. You can text me at 484-278-1357. Again, 484-278-1357. And if, here we go. Let's see. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Edith. Good evening. Be well. Be safe, everyone. Thanks so much, Kamari, for the education. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all for being here. Until next Wednesday, I'll see you soon. And I will be back Saturday as well. All right. I'll see you all later. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe. Drink your water. Get some sunshine. And eat some green food for a while. All right, folks. Have a great night. Bye-bye.